Hey folks, welcome in to off-season number 2. Year 1 ends with the Rockies. We went 59 and 103 before we get started and kind of breaking down this off-season. Let's check out the playoffs and see what is going on so far. The first round is over. It is Baltimore beating Texas in the wild card, the Yankees beating Tampa Bay in the wild card. Obviously the Red Sox kind of blowing it towards the end there. Those two teams make it in. On the National League side, Atlanta beats Arizona, Chicago beats Miami in a sweep. So let's see if anything happens with the DS. Championship series are set. Houston takes care of Baltimore 3-1. Minnesota gets past the dreaded Yankees that have haunted them. Minnesota, we talked about them last offseason. They had a great offseason, bolstering up their lineup. Ryan McMahon, one of the guys that went to Minnesota, and they beat the Yankees, the monkey on their back. Philadelphia beat Chicago. Atlanta sleeps through, gets swept, by the Dodgers. Twins and Dodgers for the whole thing. Let's see who comes out on top. And the Dodgers looking to pick up the World Series victory. Carlos Correa at the dish. JP Feyereisen. And we are going into what could be the final at bat. Again, Dodgers hanging up a 12th spot on the Twins, trying to win their first World Series since I became the general manager of the Rockies. The first World Series with the vaunted Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman lineup, and definitely would justify all their spending. Yoshinobu Yamamoto as well in that mix. And again, a World Series for the Dodgers. America will love to hate it, but LA will love to cherish it. And has now 2 strikes on one of the best playoff performers we've seen really ever, especially in the last few years, in Carlos Correa. 1-3 for him. JP Feyereisen looking to seal the deal. Chopper over to Freeman. He'll glove it. Race to the bag, and the Dodgers sweep the Minnesota Twins. Their magic runs short, and the Dodgers, who added the likes of Shane Bieber this offseason, obviously have added those big guys we mentioned before. This is a powerhouse team, and they might not be done. I'm sure this is not going to be their only World Series trophy that they're going to come away with. So I guess congratulations to the Dodgers, but now an even bigger target on their backs, as 2025 belongs to the Los Angeles Dodgers. World Series MVP goes to Gio Urshela. It was Freddie Freeman, the postseason MVP for the National League, and Edward Julien, the postseason MVP, with a .351 batting average for those Twins. Notable retirements: Evan Longoria is going to hang it up, finishing up with the Orioles. Hasn't played in the major leagues in a little bit, and definitely a good career for Longo. DJ LeMahieu, former Rocky, who was a pretty pivotal piece in those Rocky teams that were making the playoffs. A few Gold Gloves, a few All-Stars, a few batting titles. A couple of those won in Colorado. Congratulations on your career, DJ LeMahieu. Justin Verlander, a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. Houston, the Mets, Detroit. I mean, what more can you say about one of the best pitchers we'll ever see? MVP, 3 Cy Youngs, Rookie of the Year, did it all. A couple World Series under his belt as well. He's one of the best to ever do it. And right behind him, his old teammate Max Scherzer finished up his career in Texas, won back-to-back World Series the last couple of years. A couple Cy Youngs for him, a bunch of All-Star appearances, another one of those guys that you read about when you're younger, and we were able to watch his whole career. Congratulations, Max Scherzer. Charlie Blackmon officially called it a career. It says with the Phillies for some reason, but he kind of just took a year off and decided it was time to hang him up. A few All-Stars, Silver Slugger batting titles, all in Colorado, 230 career home runs. We appreciate you, Charlie Blackmon, one of the best Rockies to ever do it. Yu Darvish, one of the premier Japanese pitchers to ever play in our league. He calls it a career, spending half the season in the bullpen. Kind of faded off here since coming to San Diego after a pretty dominant stretch with the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Texas Rangers. He ended up picking up a bunch of All-Stars. Congratulations, Yu Darvish. Daniel Bard, another guy that was part of our organization for the last few years, revitalized his career with the Rockies. See the 7-year gap. I got to watch him when he was with the Red Sox, and he was doing extremely well. And then, obviously, I got to work with him last season, and he calls it quits. Brandon Crawford, an underrated shortstop in his time, finishes off things. A few All-Stars, a few Gold Gloves, a Silver Slugger for Brandon Crawford. Justin Turner, another notable, spent last season with Toronto, didn't play this season. A few All-Stars, a few a playoff MVP, and a World Series for JT. Joey Votto, one of the more underappreciated hitters of all time, mostly with Cincinnati, a few games with Toronto, his hometown team, 356 career home runs, a Hall of Famer in my book, and I hope he gets the call to the Hall. 2010 MVP Joey Votto. Our exclusive free agents this season, it's just German Marquez and James McCann. They will be let go and they will enter the free agency pool. Going over some notable non-tenders, Jeff Hartley is going to be one of those guys let go. We're here at salary arbitration. I'm going to be going over some guys that we're going to be trying to give deals with to avoid arbitration. And other than that, we're probably just going to give them their arbitration deals. We've given Ezekiel Tovar a 2-year, $6 million deal. Doyle, 2 years, $5 million. And then Weathers, 1 year, $1.6 million. Everyone else we're going to go to arbitration with. We'll let you know if any of these guys agree to the deals or if they go to arbitration as well. We're going to be offering Chase Dollander a 7-year, $45 million contract to buy out a couple years of free agency. We'll see if he accepts that or not. For the other tender contracts, I'm going to be going over anyone I gave a significant offer to. Other than that, they're just going to sign for their 1-year deals like usual. Before we take a look at free agency, here's what I like to do in free agency. We are yet again stuck with a $120 million budget, unfortunately. After all of the pre-negotiations and all that stuff, we're probably looking at $20 to $25 million to spend for this season. What are we looking for? Obviously, offensively, we'll start there. We need power, especially first base. I'm looking at power. I've thrown the idea around, potentially maybe moving Young Keel to first base. Isn't exactly ever going to play the outfield for us just due to his speed being where it is, and his power numbers were insane last year. Hit for 30 home runs, 90 RBI basically. Would love to keep his bat every day, and if we can keep his bat in the lineup and also find a new DH, it's something if we don't strike at first base, we're going to try Young Keel out there in spring training. I think he can field the position just fine. Been working with him throughout the season a little bit, so that's number one. Number two, I want to get faster. Other than Brenton Doyle, we really haven't had many guys that steal bases, and Brenton doesn't really even steal that much. I would love to get more athletic at somewhere. Whether that is really the only place left to kind of upgrade is first base and maybe that outfield spot. Maybe we get we can move someone to DH from this list. Still not 100% sold on Beck and Veen. They were fine, I would say, but didn't really solidify that they're 100% going to be the bats. I might bring in another outfielder just to test, but we'll see on that. That's really what I want. Get on base, hit for more power, and steal more bases, especially. Pitching side, I would like to kind of move on from Justin Lawrence from closer. He hasn't had exactly the best years since I've been here. 9 blown saves isn't awful, but again, those ERAs are something you just can't trust. I would like to maybe get a decent closer. Other than that, obviously, the same thing, kind of get some relief pitching to kind of bolster things up. Maybe 1 or 2 arms here to kind of bolster up the major leagues as Bobby White. Bud Leonard now, who's in the organization, we'll see how he does in his first trip in the minor leagues, but still definitely want some arms in here to kind of bolster up this stuff. So let's take a look at the free agent class. And it is pretty heavy at the top. Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker, Zach Gallen, all already receiving pretty big deals, neither of which are really happy with them. Will Smith, Josh Naylor, Chris Paddock on the block as well, with guys like Lane Thomas, Michael King, Tommy Edman, and the rest. We're going to check on who we're going after, and then we'll kind of see who's signing where as we go along. First off, we're going to put up there is for Marcus Stroman, a guy who can keep the ball in the yard. A veteran starting pitcher will probably open up for us on opening day. We're still seeing it Bobby White. We're not 100% guaranteeing him this roster spot, but I think coming off a tough year last year, he's willing to kind of take a shorter deal. So we'll see if $5 million gets it done for Marcus Stroman. We're going to put an offer out to Paul Goldschmidt, a guy who's coming off back-to-back, not too fantastic years. We are going to give him an offer. He can help solidify first base, maybe even play some DH as well. Exceptional against lefties. He's not getting any older. This could help him get another contract if he can hit really well in Colorado. 28 home runs last year. He can get on base. Exactly what I want for a young team. You can also put in an offer for Trent Grisham, another guy that I've been keeping my eye on for a while, and he has one of the best walk rates in the game. I think a one-year deal coming off of a couple of years in New York, which weren't fantastic. Might platoon him, but we'll see. He has great fielding, decent speed, can play our outfield, probably be shipped over to left field if we do get him, and then kind of give that competition. We're going to give him a $1.68 million deal, see how that turns out. Zach Gallen will be getting out of our division, staying in our league, though. He goes to the Chicago Cubs, 6 years, $124.8 million. Huge loss for the Diamondbacks, having a 93-win season. They lose their ace. Bo Bichette going to Atlanta as they shore up their shortstop spot. This team couldn't get any scarier. I don't know what adding Bo Bichette does to that mix, but they 100% need to win a World Series shortly. Checking in, we got Stroman, we got Goldschmidt, we got Grisham. So our guys that we were going after, pretty much we secured. I'm having a good amount of thoughts. I think we're going to have a decent team next year. We got some veterans to come in here and help themselves out, and plus help this team out. They might not be here for the immediate, for so long into the future, but for right now, they're going to be valuable pieces to our team. Will Smith also going to the Braves. The Braves are loading up on a super team. I mean, adding Will Smith and straight to Sean Murphy. I mean, that's one of the best 1-2 catcher punches we've seen in league history. I wouldn't have given all that money for a position not of need, but who knows? I mean, this team's looking super scary. They're trying to beat the Dodgers. Taking a look at some of just the notable names here as we've gone about a couple weeks into free agency. Vlad Guerrero Jr. not getting a lot of insane contracts. This is a guy who last year at 36 home runs and OPS to almost 900 had a respectable WAR of 4.2 after a year of 5.1 a year ago. His market just is slowly developing. He's gotten some offers, but nothing that he loves so far. Kyle Tucker looks like he might be heading to St. Louis. Josh Naylor getting some offers as well, including our Arizona Diamondbacks in our division. Lane Thomas, still no Flyers out there. Chris Paddock, the top pitcher out there, Atlanta's in on him too. Where are they getting all this money from? Also of note, we have signed Ezekiel Tovar to his arbitration avoiding deal, and we also have signed Chase Dollander to that big extension. So he is going to be making $6.4 million for the next few years. Another friendly extension for him, buying out a few free agent years. These are going to really help us down the road. Tucker does end up going to the Birds over there in St. Louis. Big contract for him, 9 years, $212 million. They're done playing around. Sold off some old pieces last year. Lost some of that core that was last in the playoffs. They're trying to start a new core with young guys like Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, and adding Kyle Tucker to that mix. Josh Naylor into our division with the Diamondbacks. They shore up first base. They did sign Christian Walker last season. I wonder if one of those guys switches positions or just becomes a full-time DH. Who knows, but they're getting a pretty good bat for relatively cheap, just $13.50 a year. Lane Thomas goes to the Padres. A pretty good deal for him. One of those underrated guys. Had a pretty decent year. Gets $8 million a year. I'm sure both sides are going to love that. Chris Paddock filling in that Zach Gallen-sized hole in the rotation for the Diamondbacks. 5 years, $76 million for Paddock. He had a pretty good year after getting traded to the Cubs, and now we had to face him a few times a year. It's time for the draft lottery. Last year, we improved our record by, 2 wins, and we were not the White Sox, that's for sure, who had 47 wins. We have the 4th best odds, number 1 pick. Let's see where we end up. We drop down to number 7. The Brewers jump all the way up 7 spots. They were that 8th spot. Oakland moves up. The Royals moved up. Us, the Mets, the Rockies, the Mets, the Nationals, and the Tigers all moved down 3. An unfortunate way the board goes. But the Brewers, they get the number 1 pick. They have Juan Soto. They have Jackson Chourio. They have a really good squad. And they now are the rich get richer, I guess. 3.9% odds to do it, and they did it. We have a trade to announce, and this is why we get all of the pitching that we can. We are finally moving off of Kyle Freeland's contract. In order to do that, we're going to have to package together him and Omar Cannon, a guy who we really liked, but we are going to move them away, use him to get off the Freeland contract. We're going to send him to Chicago. The White Sox, who they're not going to be good anytime soon. They can absorb this contract, and we're going to get Yoki Cespedes, a guy who can probably push Benny Montgomery for an outfield spot, potentially. Montgomery tried AAA last year, wasn't really fantastic. Maybe Cespedes can give him some competition. In the Rule 5 draft, we're going to select Trey Jameson. He's a reliever, has some high velocity, high break, just working on that control. I think he could be a very valuable piece. We're still looking for that closer. Maybe he's the guy, and why not take a flyer on a guy with just 1 year MLB service and some stuff that I can really like, and has been able to go deep in some innings. Has started some few games in the major leagues, and can be a weapon for us. I'll do it for the Rule 5 draft. Washington Nationals made 2 picks. Here's who went. Ronnie Simon was that 2nd pick, and then it was Jose Suarez, Andres Chaparro, Drew Smeltzer, and then Austin Hendrick. One vaunted prospect for the Reds goes to the A's, and that was it. We're in January, and here are the markets for some of the top players. Michael King's market, he's not too interested in. Nestor Cortez is probably close to signing. And Clayton Kershaw, just 1 offer out there for him. Gary Sanchez, the top catcher on the market, he could get a pretty decent 1-year deal with somebody upcoming pretty soon. Vlad Guerrero Jr., his market still not where anyone expected it to be. Wilmer Flores looks like he's getting some serious offers from the Blue Jays if they don't get Vlad, and Anthony Rizzo might not have a team this year. Willie Castro, a pretty decent all-around utility bat. He's looking at the Braves again. The Angels are on him as well. Christian Arroyo, Red Sox legend, might not have a team either. Max Muncy potentially going back to the Dodgers. Eugenio Suarez and Yohan Moncada, no biters on them yet. I'm sure once some of those bigger bats go, teams that missed out on them will be able to pick them up. Tommy Edman has a decent market up the middle for the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox. Teoscar Hernandez, a guy that we mulled, and maybe we get back in this race, especially if he doesn't get any suitors. 1 year, $3.8 million for him so far. JD Martinez, no offers on him as well. Cedric Mullins, he's looking like a 2-year deal, either Detroit or back to Baltimore. Max Kepler, an offer out here for the Fish. We're going to jump back into the market for Teoscar Hernandez. 2 years, $8.5 million. If we have a surplus at that position, it's the guy that I kind of went with Grisham over him, but if we can sign him, then that definitely makes our free agency look a lot better. Tommy Edman finally makes a decision as we turn to January. He goes to Cincinnati. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him, Teoscar Hernandez, for 2 seasons. We're going to sign him and figure it out later, and we'll see where he fits in. We now have 2 new outfielders to go with our young guys. It's going to be a competition at a camp, so we'll see who sticks and who doesn't. Also going to put out an offer for Caleb Thibaut. We're going to go 1 year, $2 million. He doesn't really have a market. We'll see if he accepts that. And we did end up signing Caleb Thibaut. We were kind of lacking. We only made that one move for Dre Jamison. We might be having a lot of starters in the bullpen this year, but Caleb Thibaut has been very solid. Older guy, he's regressing. He's still, he's telling everyone he doesn't have enough juice like he used to. So, a good signing for us. One big fish finally goes. Michael King, one of the best starters. He comes to Arizona. So, on the first day of free agency, Arizona lost their ace. They've added Chris Paddock, and they add another good 1A, 1B with Michael King on one of the last days of free agency. Chris Bubich is going to be making $3.344 million. He won his arbitration case. And we won on Ryan Rollison, a guy that made $1.2 million last year. He's going to make less than that. Did not have a good year. Vlad Jr. did end up going back to Toronto in a pretty nice deal for him. That's going to be exceeding as he gets older. So good for Vlad Guerrero. And that will do it for the offseason. I think we got better. Let's check out our roster before we go. Starting pitching, Bobby White is going to be coming up to camp, but I can't guarantee that he will make the rotation. I want to see. He had a very good year. He was a little bit ahead of schedule for us. Bud Leonard's going to stay in the minor leagues all season, most likely starting out in Double-A. We'll see. Maybe he fast-tracks his way up. He is 22. But right now, Bubich, Dollander, Stroman, Senzatella, Sanchez, Feltner, Joe Rock, Ryan Rollison, and then as well as maybe Bobby White are going to be competing for the rotation. In the reliever market, we kind of just have who we got. Thibaut and Jamison are our big additions. Other than that, it's going to be if you're doing well, you're going to be with the team. If you're not doing well, you're not going to be on the big league squad. Catchers, I'm pretty satisfied with this being our tandem, Drew Romo and Willie McIver. Kind of very similar, which is fine. I have a feeling Romo's going to have a good year. Ralphie Velasquez is waiting in case things go sideways as well. First base, Paul Goldschmidt, Chris Bryant, Michael Toglia, Hunter Goodman. Right now, it's Goldschmidt, and it's his game to win, and especially making the moves we did. Young Kilo Fernandez might move over here to first base as well, primarily, but we're gonna have a nice little competition, especially at first base. Dale Amador, he's solidified at second base. Potentially looking at an extension for him pretty soon. We'll be working on that. We'll have some news on that front a little bit later. Juan Guerrero will be joining us in camp. With his versatility and what he's been doing the last couple years in the minor leagues, definitely want to give him a shot. Nolan Jones, a guy that he's our cornerstone. Sterling Thompson is going to break camp as well. He has outfielder capabilities, so especially if a guy like Veen or a guy like Beck struggles, Thompson can be a guy we look for. Dahlbeck and Kevin Smith with us as well, and Warming Burnable. Ezekiel Tovar, the shortstop, obviously no one's really challenging his position. Jack Spiggers probably will make the camp as well, just to kind of see what he's done. He was our minor leaguer of the year last year. Teoscar Hernandez, Yanquiel Fernandez, Grisham, Doyle, Montgomery, Beck, Veen. 3 spots for 7 guys to be facing off against. We're going to be carrying 4 outfielders like we usually do, so somebody's not going to make it. Obviously, Hernandez, Grisham, and Doyle kind of have a leg up. Those are the guys that we paid to be here. Maybe we kind of do a platoon situation somewhere, but Veen and Beck are going to have to step it up to see who goes out and wins it. And that's going to do it here. Next time we're going to go over our top prospects for year 3. We're going to be going over spring training, and we're going to find out what this Rockies team has for their 3rd year. I have high hopes for this team. I think we can really make some strides. 59 wins last year. I'm looking to advance that a little bit more this year. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm enjoying. I will see you soon.